Okay, before we begin, make sure that you subscribe to the channel for new content that we are uploading on here every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Also, don't forget to like our videos, bookmark this channel, and also check out www.djtcell.com.
But yet, we want to spend all of our money on foreigns. We want to spend all our money on luxury as opposed to going and buying some land. America is for sale. And there's a lot of barren land. Disney bought a lot of it in Florida. But the culture has you focused so much on fucking somebody bitch and pulling up in a foreign and rapping about things that could get you locked up and then saying you about prison reform. Like, it's, bro.
Hello and welcome back to Statistics TV. It's your boy DJ Cell, and today we are back for another review. And today we are reviewing the one and only album by Kanye West. It's called Jesus is King. Now, I'm not just reviewing this album because it's what everyone's talking about. Far from it. I'm actually, even though I do need the views and the channel does actually need the views right now, it is actually something very interesting to talk about because of Kanye's transformation from a Kanye fan who has actually followed him from the days of College Dropout to recent years and actually noticed the digression in his music since My Dark Twisted Fantasy. I was actually very interested to see what he would have to bring out on his album. Much granted, Ye was kind of a turnaround for him in terms of the subject matter he was tackling on that album. Anyway, in my opinion, this album is more of a continuation from Ye as well as a fitting end to My Dark Twisted Fantasy. And the reason why I say that because that was kind of where I think that all of this journey that he's been on has actually started. I believe that's where it actually began. Considering all of the things that were happening in his life at the time, which is not what we're here to talk about. What he is actually showing you, and this is something I've always loved about Kanye, is how he's pretty much laying you into the why he does things and why he makes the decisions he makes. Now, the album for me, in all fairness, it was really hit and miss at times. Sometimes it was amazing, sometimes it was just a complete shadow of itself, and you're wondering, is this Yeezus that we are getting, or is this My Dark Twisted Fantasy level of work? He has retained his production quality, he has retained his songwriting ability if he has one. I'm not gonna go into the writers on this album. We know that Kanye doesn't write his own music, some of his own verses, but in terms of the storytelling, that's what I mean by the songwriting ability. In terms of storytelling and able to bring you into his world, I think he done that phenomenally well on this particular project. On the track by track review, I'm going to kind of give you an idea of why I believe this is similar to My Dark Twisted Fantasy and what makes this and you know where the album starts to cut off for me. I'm also gonna omit the last track, which is Jesus is Lord. I don't really think that this actually is it's a good capping off, but it's not like I can give it a rating because it's just sampling or the choir singing off just to end it, just to end the whole project. It's not necessarily anything that I would say, oh, this is a 10 out of 10 performance by Kanye West, and Kanye West is not even part of the track. The same thing with Every Hour. I'm also gonna omit that from the rating because again, it's not Kanye West, just mainly the choir. But I am going to rate out of 9 tracks. I will say this though, the Every Hour was a great introduction to the album. I will say that the choir did do a very good job in laying down the foundation and giving you the idea that this is actually a credible gospel album. But like I said, there were parts in this album in which Kanye West, you would question whether he's actually serious and he's really gonna stick to this path or whether it's not. There is one thing. Cellar was the second track of the album. Personally, I gave this a 9 out of 10. I think that Kanye done extremely well here to explain his views and why he taken up the position he has taken. Salah also stands for peace, which he done quite well to also bring this forward. But again, like I said, because of the fact that he doesn't write his own this is taken this is not taken into consideration for this album, because we already know that Kanye doesn't actually write its own track. So this recommendation and this rating is more based on the musicality of the track, not necessarily the skill or the pen game, I would say. Follow God was the next track that does follow up from this, and it was a really good follow up, a really good tonal switch. And the reason why I say this, and I gave this an 8.7 out of 10, the reason why I say this is because Kanye has actually retained his old self. He has not really decimated his entire being, if that makes sense. He hasn't really removed the qualities that made Kanye in terms of rapping and in terms of productions. He has still continued with his style of production, but he just brought that over into doing a different type of medium, if that makes sense. So I really admired the fact that he actually kept hold of that. The message on here was also quite good. He didn't just say follow God. He didn't just preach it to you. He gave you the reasons why, and he lets you know what he's talking about, and he also at the same time lets you know how you can do that without coming across as condescending, etc. Now, on God, I gave it a 7.8 out of 10. I found it to be quite, I mean, depending on how you view it, depending on your perspective, it can be seen as contradictory if you're gonna go by the term on God. And the way that he does start off in the first few verses, it does suggest that he was swearing on God, which obviously, if you are the type of person, if you are a religious person, you're gonna know that it's not actually permitted to swear on God or swear on the earth, anything like that. You're supposed to live a life where you don't make promises, or you don't make swearing a custom of yours. You live by the Lord and you die by the Lord, etc. And you let him direct your path. So to see this and to see how Kanye flips it to say that it's actually because of God that he's got everything, I felt like it was quite motivational. I felt like the story here was well told. It turned on its head, so that it does give you this kind of the way I picked it up was it gave me this kind of double side where you would think, is he swearing on God, but at the same time you're like, oh, okay, cool, he's praying to God at the same time. So I think so it's up to you how you take it from there, but I personally thought this was an okay track considering how you want to take it. Closed on Sunday was, in my opinion, an immaculate track. 9 out of 10 I gave it. The transformation here actually details his intentions quite well. He shows why he decided to go on his journey. It really goes into detail. I really love that. The instrumentation here was also perfect. It near perfect. Let me say like that. It was, and I was really impressed by how he delivered this. Everything we need now. Ty Dolla $ign is, I actually thought he was actually quite a good gospel singer. His style hasn't changed that much from Ye. If you listen to the album, you actually realize that Ghost Town, where I believe it was Ghost Town that he featured in, he sounds so the same here. He doesn't really offer anything different, but at the same time he makes it work. I think he would make a good gospel singer. But that actually to the side, this is why I also think it's a phase that he might be going through. The content on this was wishy-washy in my opinion. It wasn't really as convicting as his previous content was. Water, I gave it a 7.4 out of 10. I got the message that he was trying to send with the track. That was obvious, but it just wasn't as impactful or as emotionally capturing, if I can say that, as his previous, as the first two tracks that I reviewed, which was Stellar, Full of God, and Close on Sunday. I think those three tracks to start off the album were very impactful, especially Close on Sunday. I thought you said that already. Now, God was probably my least favorite track of this album. I gave it a 6.7. In my honest opinion, 6.7 out of 10 is doing it justice, because in all fairness, I don't know why he couldn't just get someone like Ryan Leslie or any upcoming singer just to sing the vocals. I don't know why he had to do it himself. He done a very good job in Close on Sunday. It wasn't outright singing, but that was tolerable. I thought the message on that was a lot better than here. The message on here was still good, but it's his vocals that really let me down. I did not like how Kanye asserted himself and just decides to sing like I was singing in the shower. And this is the quality that I'm talking about. I mean, yes, I know that he's singing about God, but you could do it with a bit of quality. There is no shame in actually trying to find somebody that would sing it, and maybe he doesn't perform, or maybe he just lets it run. But I think he done the track a big disservice by trying to do it himself. Although it can be seen as emotionally capturing, I just couldn't bear the track personally. Hands On was a complete shift from what God is. Hands On, I gave it an 8.7 out of 10. The story here was where I think he's actually very serious about his walk, his statements here highlighting the hypocrisy of religion. This is when the album really subverts the kind of expectation that Kanye was trying to give. He really hit home on the hypocritical aspects of religion, aspects of Christianity, which I believe is why he was getting a lot of backlash and asking to be cancelled because of this track alone. I believe. I don't really know. I don't really follow cancel culture that religiously. See what I did there? No. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. He did do a very good job in trying to balance the whole playing field of the album, so that atheists can also vibe to it, if that makes sense. So that people that don't believe in religion, but they have some kind of spiritual understanding of the world, can also vibe to it, because he does turn it on his center and say a lot of people are hypocritical because of the stance that they take. They do this, but they say this, but then they do the other. They don't praise God as he should be praised. And when he starts calling, especially on the first verse, when he called Yahushua, when he called Jesus Yahushua rather than Jesus, which is the Hebrew meaning of Jesus, Yahushua, it may suggest that he has also studied more and more into his faith, where he has discovered the Hebrew movement, like Kendrick Lamar has also done on the album Damn. Because on Fear, this was kind of the crux of the album, in my opinion, which I'm gonna do a podcast on. But this was where he started unraveling the other side of religion that he has discovered, where he talks about the Israelites and etc. That is something that I think that Kanye is trying to parallel here, and is trying to show how deep his faith is going, how depth his faith has. Like I said, I gave it an 8.7. I think that this was a really good track. Use This Gospel was, in my opinion, the most. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and this, I believe there was probably a biasness here. I really love the fact that he got No Malice to appear on the album. You may think that because No Malice is Pusha T's brother, he would do it, and because just because Kanye is doing a gospel album, he will jump on it. I don't think that's the case here. I think No Malice doing the project has shown, kind of cements the idea for me that this is actually not a joke, that this is actually something that he believes that he's being serious and true to his words. Because No Malice leaving rap to go and rap only about Christian values and good things rather than drugs and etc. That was a really real big turning point, and him returning and remaining consistent to that, it was fitting for him to do that on this project. What they were both talking about, the emotional, for me anyway, the emotional depth of this song, the tone of the track, as well as the instrumentation, it really captured me. I love the message that he was trying to send, because all three of them in unison do want the best for people, and the gospel here is forgiveness and loving thy neighbor. And with that gospel being preached in the way it is, when you listen to both Pusha T and No Malice lyrics, you will get that kind of message. And the idea behind it is that you're supposed to take it away. That being said, though, what Kanye chose to do with Pusha T and No Malice on this track is what I was saying in terms of God is. He should have done that with an R&B singer. I'm not gonna go over that. I really think that he really messed it up there. Overall, I'm gonna do some quick maths. I've literally added up all the scores. Out of 9, it all rounded up to 0.83, which is 83%. I think that this album is pretty good. It's not really Kanye's best work. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not by no stretch of country mile. But this is going by the track by track rating and how much I really enjoyed the track. So that's what I gave it in terms of my enjoyment of each individual track. That being said, though, this album, like I said, it does kind of bring a great it kind of brings an arc, a long awaited arc, because after my Dark Tuesday Fantasy, we wanted to know where Kanye was going to go with himself, and then he has been through a God complex with Jesus. And then he has been through the extreme hedonistic country complex of the life of Pablo. Then he has had a mental breakdown, and through that mental breakdown is now leading him to the Most High. So where he goes from here, it still remains yet a mystery. But I love the fact that he has changed his themes every single album. He's never stays in one place. This is why I personally think that Kanye is a really, really great project manager, if that makes sense. A really good person for projects, because the growth from My Dark Twisted Fantasy is very well capped off here. From the lonely man that was masturbating and advocating for porn stars, saying that they are very daring in society, and he can relate with them because he was also very daring to do what he was doing. That kind of equating that to the VMAs, etc. Like a lot of the themes that were being talked about here has been brought back here, because again, it's very daring for you to, especially on the track Hands On, it's very daring for you to go against the most popular religion within your own demographic, within your own people, and to turn around and say you guys are hypocrites. And he is relatively new on his walk as well. Now he looks more humble, and the way he's bringing across his message is not really condescending as he used to. It's more of, this is what I have to say, I hope you listen, is sort of thing. It's like nowhere on this album did I feel like he was preaching in any way or coming across as someone who is trying to bash your head in. It seems to me that he's just trying to show you his journey on how he found God and what God has done for him. And he inserted a bit of commentary that he would wish that people would take it a bit more seriously like he is taking it. That's the way I saw it. But that being said, I'm just going to bring this album review to a close. I personally recommend that you actually buy the vinyl copy. I mean, the album cover is a vinyl, so I assume it's on vinyl. But I do recommend that you buy the vinyl copy of this. I think it's a complete work of art. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and we'll give you your very own Yeezy Bible.